don't wake up thinking, I hate my job. It's more subtle than that. You wake up heavy, not because of the tasks, not even because of the workload, but because of who you have to be there. And by the end of the day, you're exhausted in a way sleep doesn't fix. You come home and feel like you've been acting, smiling at the right time, saying the right things, holding back the wrong ones. And maybe the question isn't, do I need a new job? Maybe it's, why do I stop feeling like myself when I'm there? Think about your last workday. A meeting starts. You adjust your posture slightly. Someone shares an idea you don't agree with. You nod anyway. You rewrite emails so they sound softer, less direct, more acceptable. You monitor your tone, your face, your reactions. It's subtle, but it's constant. And by 5 p.m., you're not just tired, you feel disconnected. Like the real you has been waiting quietly in the background all day. This doesn't just drain your energy. It affects how you see yourself. You start wondering, am I just difficult? Why does everyone else seem fine? And maybe I'm just not built for corporate life. But here's what most people miss. The exhaustion isn't coming from the work. It's coming from the performance. Psychology calls this self-monitoring, the ability to adjust your behavior based on social expectations. High self-monitors are good at reading the room. They survive socially, they blend in. But blending in all day has a cost. Because every time you suppress a thought, soften a reaction, or filter your personality, your brain registers a mismatch. And mismatch creates stress. Not loud stress, quiet stress, the kind that builds slowly. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're not dramatic. And you're definitely not incapable. Your brain is doing something very intelligent. At some point in your life, adapting protected you. Maybe you learned that being blunt led to conflict, that strong emotions caused rejection, that disagreeing made you difficult. So your nervous system learned a rule: adjust. So you stay accepted. That rule worked. It kept you safe. The problem is, your brain doesn't update rules easily. So now, even in situations that aren't truly dangerous, your system still chooses adaptation over authenticity. And slowly you start losing contact with your own signals. You don't hate your job. You hate feeling like a filtered version of yourself. Here's what's happening inside your brain. Every social environment activates your threat system a little. Not because someone is attacking you, but because social evaluation matters deeply to humans. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that scans for danger, doesn't just respond to physical threats. It responds to social rejection. In evolutionary terms, being excluded from the group once meant death. So your brain takes social belonging seriously. At work, hierarchy is everywhere. Bosses' feedback, performance reviews. Your brain reads this as, be careful. So your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making center, goes into management mode. It starts tracking. How am I being perceived? Did that sound okay? Was that too much? Imagine running 2 apps at once. One is your actual job. The other is, how am I coming across right now? Both use energy. That's called cognitive load. And when cognitive load stays high for hours, you feel mentally drained. There's another layer. When your outer behavior doesn't match your inner state for long periods, it creates something called self-alienation. You start feeling like an observer in your own life. You speak, but it doesn't feel fully like you. That gap is what's exhausting. Not the spreadsheet, not the emails. The gap. This isn't about quitting tomorrow. It's about reducing the gap. Gently, start tracking what drains you. At the end of the day, don't list tasks. List moments. What interaction made you feel smaller? When did you feel most on guard? This strengthens self-awareness in the brain. The more clearly you identify misalignment, the less unconscious it becomes. Example. You realize presentations don't drain you. Pretending to agree does. That clarity matters. Define your work character. Write down 3 words that describe who you are at work. Then 3 words for who you are naturally. Maybe work you is polite, careful, agreeable. And real you is curious, direct, playful. Seeing the difference reduces internal confusion. When something is vague, it feels overwhelming. When it's defined, it becomes workable. Practice micro-honesty, not big rebellion. Small truth. Once a day, say something slightly more authentic than usual. Instead of, I'm fine with anything. Try, I'd actually prefer option B. Your nervous system may tense up, but when nothing bad happens, your brain updates its prediction. This is exposure therapy in small doses. And exposure reduces fear. Shift attention outward. During one interaction, consciously stop monitoring yourself. Instead of thinking, how do I look? Think, what is actually being said? Attention is limited. If you're not using it to scan yourself, you reduce mental strain. Less monitoring, less fatigue. Reclaim one space where you don't perform. Outside work, create a place where you don't optimize. No evaluation, no audience. This restores autonomy like a core psychological need. It could be journaling, walking alone, learning something privately. When you experience yourself without performance, your nervous system relaxes, and that calm begins to spill into other areas. Integration. Think of your personality like a dimmer switch, not on or off. At work, you've had it turned down, not because you're fake, but because you learned that lower intensity felt safer. The goal isn't to flip it to maximum overnight. That would shock your system. The goal is to slowly turn it up, one notch at a time. Every honest sentence, every moment of reduced monitoring, every time you choose authenticity over autopilot, you reduce the gap. And when the gap shrinks, so does the exhaustion. Quiet, empowering, close. You don't hate structure. You don't hate responsibility. You don't even hate working. You hate disappearing. And maybe tomorrow, nothing dramatic changes. You still show up. You still attend meetings. You still answer emails. But somewhere in the day, you let one real reaction exist, unedited. And maybe that's enough. Because the problem was never the job itself. It was forgetting that you're allowed to exist inside it. And once you see that, tomorrow, don't try to be braver. Don't try to be louder. Just don't disappear. Let one real reaction stay, unedited. Because the moment you stop vanishing, you start coming back to yourself.